1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back to the Men's Roundtable Series podcast, man. The guys are in the house. We got some guys that are dealing with some storm stuff. Dr. D, remember what happened last time you was on?
I do.
That. Make sure that's not getting echo again. So check that. Make sure it's not you again.
It's not me, is it? Is it?
Check it just to be sure. Last time it was.
I apologize.
Just check it and make sure.
Right.
This pause is brought to you by the Men's Roundtable Series podcast.
That's Echo. I'm Mr. Echo.
Okay.
That's my new nickname, so I apologize.
No, it's all good. It's all good, man. Good to see you, brother. We got some guys that got some things going on, so be keeping them in your thoughts and prayers. We got one brother who's dealing with some medical stuff, so we're gonna hopefully get an update from him sometime today. Make sure he's good. And then we got somebody who's potentially all his power is out, so he may or may not make it. We're gonna see what he does. He may go down the street to a restaurant and lock it in there. I don't know what's gonna happen. And one guy did not respond at all. So we'll see what's up with that. But anyway, this is live podcasting for you. But we do what we do. Every Thursday night, 7 p.m. EST, we're here. So guys, first off, how you guys doing weather-wise? You guys in a good place where you are? I got these clouds next to my window like, we getting ready to come in, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. But how you guys doing? Everybody good?
Oh, it's beautiful where I live, man.
Oh, nice.
I'm right across the river from you, so I'm in New Jersey. So I got the same weather. It's raining Knicks today. I saw that.
Yeah. If I was back home, I probably have no problem. But I'm in South Carolina, so my situation is radically different right about now. Yeah, this is storm season for us too. So you know how that is. All right,
we're supposed to get some weather overnight, but honestly, man, we need the rain. We're in a severe drought in this area, so any rain that we could get is welcome here.
You don't want no flash flooding, man. Don't be calling that, man. You don't want that.
No, I don't want that. I just want it in moderation. But the ground is too dry.
Yeah, the way they're talking, it could be flash flooding even in your neck of the woods too. So we're watching to see what happens. We're trying to be lying sometime, you know. But all right, so Scott checking in. What's up, brother? Good to see you too, man. He had a tropical storm in the Gulf. It's hot and humid. All right, well, you're in that spot, man. When you stay on the Weather Channel news, man, all day long, 24 hours a day, you stay on that. So we think about you guys and praying for you, man. So all right, so last week, man, catch me up, man.
Here we go.
What's up, brother?
Gentlemen, how you doing?
You made it, brother. Good to see you, man.
Yes, sir.
Live from the car.
All right. So, whatever works. Just somebody run by and say, "Hey, man, you got a quarter?" It's not good for podcasting. But so how you guys feeling about last week, man? Catch me up on your thoughts, your feelings, any revelations, any new thoughts, anything from last week, any conversations you had with somebody else? Talk to me about it. Talk to us about it, really.
I had an opportunity to be at a seminar down in Miami this past weekend, and I had the opportunity to meet and listen to Tim Tebow speak. And his message was just on point because he talked about purpose. And he talked about the fact that, I don't know about you guys, but I was always rooting for him to like hit it big because he was a Christian man. And like, I thought that was going to be a big thing. And he said, man, if that would have happened, I would have been so distracted from what I'm doing right today. And God's purpose was not for me to do well in the NFL. But God's purpose for me was to go out and save those children. The work that he's doing right now, would not have been able to do. Yeah. And it just reminded me of like sometimes we think our purpose, like we think our purpose is one thing and God tells us something else. And I was just very inspired by that message. I feel that message myself. As a chiropractor, I wanted to be a great chiropractor. My body broke down, and I had to leave my purpose and my identity, what I thought was my identity. But I was chasing a goal that was not mine. It was other people's goals. My goal of success was what other people were doing, and I was chasing it. And I almost killed myself to get there. So the message for me is, is to not chase someone else's goals. Find your purpose and and it may not be, like what everyone else is doing, but it's your purpose. And when you have a contradiction in your life, it does lead to destruction. So I just thought that was a powerful message for me to hear and identify with this weekend. So I don't know if that is helpful for anybody, but I felt strong about that.
No, man, that's good, Dr. D. Good stuff, man. Anybody else? I like it.
Yeah, I was at a joint retirement ceremony last week, so I didn't get a chance to tune in, but it really does tie into everything we've talked about this month in regards to mental health. This was such a unique promotion ceremony where you had one of my good friends who's a E9 Sergeant Major married to another good friend, E9 Master Gunnery Sergeant, and they retired at the same time. And the conversations that I had with the people that were in the building, some faces that I hadn't seen in 5, 10, 20 years, and we picked right back up where we last talked to each other. And I just told so many people there how much I love them and care about them. And I hadn't openly done that nearly as much. And that's really been the impact of being on this series and participating. It has allowed me to open up and tell another brother that I love you, bro. And I'm thinking about you and I'm wishing you well. And now we start asking health questions. How's your health? You been to the doctor? It just brought all those conversations together. So the podcast is having impact.
Thanks for the encouragement. Sometimes I don't see it, but I appreciate the encouragement. That's good. That's great to hear that, man. Anybody else? Please jump in. Ain't but 2 guys left, so
Well, I was actually away the last 2 weeks. I was up in the mountains at a men's conference. One of the things that we said when we were on the hike, and we were just looking at nature and how everything was what appeared to be chaotic, but everything worked in its perfect form together. One of the things that was highlighted to me was the fact that we were on a nature trail, that somebody had to go first. And a lot of times in our lives, a lot of things that we're going through, all the hardships, the headaches, we're going through it, but we're blazing the trail for those to follow. So just the power of one person's yes, or the power of one man's yes, has the ability to touch generations and the ability to change the trajectory of different lives who may have been going down the wrong path, but because you had the courage to go first and you had the courage to open your mouth and tell your experiences, your downfalls, and how you overcame, that helps the next generation. They don't even have to go through that, and they can go even further than you did because you had the power, you had the ability to say yes. So just the power of one man's yes and the courage to go first.
Yeah, I believe in you guys, man. That's what it really boils down to. What I see, and some of you guys I talk to, and you guys are listening, and in the comment section or in the chat, you might have got personal messages from me, so you know where I'm at with you. I see some stuff that you probably just don't see, and it's okay. I'm praying for you guys. I go deep for you guys, and I see things that you probably don't see about yourself. And I'm excited about the day when you guys take territory on another level, because that's what we got inside of us. We got that kind of DNA. We're not cavemen. We're not just tool monkeys. We got something deeper than that inside of us, and I can't wait for it to come out. So these kind of platforms like this, I'm like, if we can just take the next step every week, take another one. I ain't talking about taking 6 months worth of steps, because I'm not asking for that. Who asked for that? I don't think God would even ask you for that. But take one, and then another, and then another. If we do that, your wives are going to see different people. Your children are going to see different people. Your brothers and sisters are going to see, your neighbors, they're going to see somebody different, man. And that's what this is all about. It's about growing and evolving and being the best version of ourselves that we're supposed to be. I'm excited for you guys. And go ahead, Brent, let you go ahead and jump in and back cleanup. Go ahead.
Oh man, this week was just such a slam for me that I don't have a whole lot to say about last week. I've been buried under after our conversation last week. We've talked offline. I had a lot of events this week that I was dealing with. So almost most of the last week is kind of a faded memory as far as like I don't even remember yesterday much at this point. I'm looking forward to a little sleep hopefully this weekend to kind of catch up.
Okay. Well, tonight we're continuing the theme, if you will, of mental health month. We got a lot of questions that I'd love for you guys to answer. I kind of already shared those with you guys, so you already know what they are. Plus some more things we'll get into, but it was on my heart, to kind of get into the idea of breaking the mask. I don't know how far back it goes for you, but for me, I don't touch like playing dress up and make believe. I kind of got out of that phase a lot earlier than most kids probably did in my coming up. And I probably put on a mask once for Halloween, and I could never do it again. It was something weird about it to me. It was like it didn't hit me right. We could talk offline about what that may have meant, but I won't do that here. I won't adjudicate that here. But for me, the idea of putting on the mask, it feels disingenuous. It feels like I'm pretending to be Spider-Man when I'm really not. I can't shoot webs out of my hands. It just feels weird to me. And I'd rather come as me to a masquerade party, which kind of stinks for other people. But to me, I'm like, that's where I'd rather be. But as men, we put on masks all the time. And it could be a Superman mask. It could be a Batman Cape Crusader mask. It could be, you name it. And I want to try to some degree, break the mask tonight. And hopefully we do that in the lives of the people who are watching and listening tonight. And break the mask, that means you're not putting it back on. You won't need it anymore. So I want to get into that and topics and talking points along that line. I know that and maybe perhaps you were one of them. I know I was, men that were learning to look good on the outside, career-wise, reputation-wise, maybe a confidence or a bravado in front of people publicly. But on the inside, they were quietly falling apart and nobody can hear their scream because it was a silent scream. You know what that's like. If you know what the silent scream is, you know that it's, I've done it before and got a chance even to hear it. It's probably one of the most blood-curdling things I've ever heard in my entire life. It's a scream that comes from generations of pain. It comes from more than just your current circumstance. So I kind of want to talk about the cost of trying to keep that act up for men and what it looks like when the life that you are living behind closed doors matches the one that the world sees. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Are we on the same page? And we know that Ariel dropped out. He having some technical issues, but hopefully he'll jump back in soon. But when we talk about the mask or the gap between performance and reality, or even the question that we talked about beforehand offline, what are you guys thinking about that? How's that hitting for you?
I think that's just a way of life. I think that's the way of life that most people know. I had like the very best compliment I ever got one time. I had a young man I used to work with, and he went out to do something with my wife and I one time outside of work, and like at work, he's like, "Wow, you are exactly the same at work as you are at home with your wife." I was like, "Thank you, man." Like to me, that was like the highest compliment because that's what I want to be, right? I don't want to put on airs, but a lot of us, we separate every piece of our life. You separate your job, you separate your family, you separate church, you separate your friends, right? Who you are, how you show up changes a little bit in each circumstance. It may not be like a full mask. It might be like an opera mask, right? The whole half mask phantom kind of thing, right? It's just a little bit of a shade. Maybe that Batman mask where it's just the eyes, right? You can still see the goatee, but we put on a little bit and change it up and are just a little bit different. I think that is such a common thing that people don't even think of it as a mask. People don't think of it and translate that as putting on any kind of airs or show. But we do. We act a little bit different a lot of times. And I think it's just so common that people don't even think that's a mask anymore. They don't realize they do it. They do it subtly. My sister used to tease me because she could always tell when I was talking to a girl on the phone because the tenor of my voice changed. Right back when I was in high school, she's like, "Oh, he's talking to a girl. The tenor of his voice is different." I was like, "Shut up!"
Telltale sign, man. You know that,
right? Yeah. There's just certain things you do, and I think a lot of us are so comfortable in that I don't think sometimes we know we're wearing a mask anymore because we aren't even sure who we are at this point.
What's up, man? Anybody else?
Yeah, I kind of agree, Yusuf, with the things that you said at the opening before and during the question. I typically don't play dress up. I just never have. I never felt comfortable putting on somebody else's character. I am who I am. I'm comfortable being me. So I come as Stu to my friends. I come as, Professor Boehner. There's value in being able to be versatile without losing yourself in spaces and in different rooms. I know that the way I conduct myself around my family and friends, I have to separate those three areas of my life. Again, my personal life, my professional life, and my social life. And I am a different person in all three aspects of that, of who I am. But at the core, I am still me. I wasn't always comfortable with who I was. And over time and experience, I've gained more confidence just being comfortable being who I am and how I look, how I present. But it's a journey. And I think it's our job to help other young men get comfortable being who they are and not ridiculing them, but encouraging them to think about how they present and how they will be perceived. Because perception, whether we like it or not, does play an important role in access to certain spaces. And you have to be and present a certain way in some instances that may make you feel uncomfortable. It doesn't mean you need to change who you are. You just need to be vulnerable I'm struggling to find the right word. You need to be able to adapt to every environment you're in so that you don't stick out like a sore thumb. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
I agree with that. Steve, basically, because I'm the same way what you were saying, and what I've learned to do was you got to learn how to speak the language for whatever room you're in. So you don't necessarily change who you are. You still the same. You still maintain the same character. You're still the same person, but the way you speak may have to change based on the room you're in. You have to learn the language, because otherwise you could be talking over people's head or doing things and they may not understand what you're doing because, that's not their area. So you have to learn, like you said, you have to learn to present different ways depending what room you're in, but that doesn't mean you change who you are. You just change the language.
Yeah, and there's a big difference in what RL just said and pretending to be somebody that you're not. Because authenticity at the end of the day, it breaks all barriers. Just be authentically who you are. People will either like you or not, but I can respect somebody who is authentically who they are instead of somebody pretending and smiling in my face and then going and doing something that's totally different, So I have more respect for people who are authentic than I do for somebody who is this way and is that way and is fake. And I don't have a gauge that I take around and measure when I feel fake, but I know it when I see it. I can feel it. And I distance myself from folks like that.
I'm thinking of what you guys are saying, and I'm thinking back to when I felt most inauthentic. It's probably when I was younger. I had a low self-esteem. I was an athlete, and I was, I had a big ego with an inferiority complex that you didn't know about. So that's a dangerous mix. But so I didn't even know, who I was. And by the time I got to college, I ended up getting arrested because I like to say I was an early pioneer in the cannabis industry here in New Jersey, and it was illegal back then. So I was in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, before Snooki got there, and I was a lifeguard, and that's when I got arrested, right? And so here I was with not much of a direction, not much of a self-esteem, and now I find myself on the road with a record, and where am I going, right? So I quickly, out of fear, got stuff together and finished college, and under stress with not ever knowing what was going to happen next. And I eventually became a chiropractor. And but even when I was the chiropractor, I got out and I didn't know what success was, and I just followed what everyone else was doing, what the other guy was doing, and I darn near killed myself to become what they thought was successful, because I didn't have enough whereabouts of myself to even know what success was, right? So it was safer for me to do what you were doing, because you probably were smarter than me, knew more about it. And let's face it, that's not, it don't work that way. I don't practice because I can't move my body. I just popped recently residually a bone and a muscle popped off my hip, and that's just what's going on in my body. And I had to be humbled out of practice. And after about 2 or 3 years of I went to seminary school, being humble, losing that ego, and then of course I became a Christian and all that. So I was doing all the things that going in the right direction, not on purpose, just because I didn't have many other options, and it was working. And then I eventually got able to go back into an office. And in the past 3 years, I've been working in an office where everybody speaks Spanish. It's a personal injury office. Nobody knows me as the guy with the practice and the guy that did the thing. I'm just the guy that works there, and I don't speak the language, but it was an amazing place to go and be humble, because it was just my heart and my hands in there, and working on people like they're my family, and loving to be able to be back and at least make some difference. So, I think being humbled that way for me, whether it was the physical breakdown, the mental breakdown, the spiritual breakdown, the arrest, and all that cloud that carried me all that time, where I just got to a point where I didn't really care anybody think anymore. It's like, I got to get myself together. And so I feel like I'm in a place where I don't have a mask. Like I walk in me all the time. I don't drink or anything, so I'm always me. And so if I take somebody off, that's on me. It's not on the bottle. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just I couldn't be happier in my chronic pain, in just knowing who I am in my heart. And my man, and I wouldn't trade that trip for anything, because I couldn't be happier now, right? And that's not for anything. I don't have anything, right? But I have me. I have my purpose, and it took 55 years, but and now I'm ready for the next 55. So I can identify to that, man. But I thank God that putting a mask on for me is effort. I say now that ego is expensive. It's expensive, right? So I just try to love people, man. Like I tell people, like, I'm gonna love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, that's how I roll. And it's, whether you like me or not, or I like you or not, I'm still gonna love you, because you know what? That's a posture that keeps me the same. And I don't know if I make any sense with that, but that's my feelings.
It made sense with all of it, brother. Thank you. All of it made sense to me. All right. Anybody else? Further comments? New comment? New question?
Yeah, I don't know if we're like having a semantical debate about what we're talking about tonight, because just statistically, with what I know about men's mental health statistics, the likelihood of 4 of the 5 of us all being like, we never wear masks, we don't ever have problems with masks, is bullshit. So we're either having a semantical debate about what is actually being talked about tonight, or we're just not ready to admit that we have that problem or have had that problem in past years.
All right.
You may be at a place where that's not an issue right now, but we're having the conversation because that many men are having this problem. So the likelihood that most of us are not having that problem or have never had that problem in even recent history is non-existent. So did I misunderstand the question?
I don't think so, because I left it as basic as possible, because what I like to do with this show, and you guys have seen it, I try not to tell you or lead you in where we're going when it comes to topics and everything. I put it out there as is and get your perspective, because you guys are from different places, different age groups, different geography, different backgrounds and childhoods. What you bring to it is always going to be varied and different. So you didn't misunderstand it, but if you would like to, since the floor is yours and your mic is open, you can clarify what a mask actually is, give everybody clarity that's watching and listening, and then we can move from there. But no, you didn't misunderstand the question whatsoever.
See, I know a lot of guys who are at an older age and usually in the upper age group, right? It's usually 40 plus years old, or you actually start to develop the ability to stop playing the game. And it's still very much a weak link thing for most people well into their 60s. I remember my dad hitting 65 and he's like, you know what? I don't even have to pretend anymore. Now I can just say whatever I want. Nobody get mad at me because I'm old. Right? He was so excited to hit 65 because he was like, yep, no, now I'm old enough. I can say whatever the hell I want. Right. My dad was a minister, so it was funny because I never thought he would had filtered much back. But I mean, it takes decades and decades of maturity to get where we're not fronting somewhere in our lives on something.
And honestly, let me jump in real quick right here. This is my opinion. If you don't like it, we can talk about it. But this is my opinion. Despite my youthful appearance, I've been around here for a little while. And I've seen people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, even their 80s. And some of them talk just like what you just described, but they still wear a mask. They go into groups like, for example, a men's fellowship or a men's breakfast, for one example. I'm not bringing anything from my current life. I'm just saying as an example. This is the way I've seen it. They'll come in and they didn't forget that we just had a coaching session and I know stuff about their life, notwithstanding. But they'll come into a setting like that and they will talk to people and I would overhear it as if they got it all together. It's all good. Everything's clean. Had a young man came from out of state with his family out here. Man had a humongous pornographic issue. Humongous. Sitting up in the church with us, glad handing folks, and it's like, it's all good. I'm doing great. I don't need anything. That's a mask. I'm not saying go tell everybody your problems. That's not what we're talking about, but that's a mask. And people from ages 30 to even 80, they wear them. So I've seen that myself, and it's not a characterization. This is actual real stuff that happens. So I'm with you on what you said about, how this is a more pervasive thing than, perhaps we heard so far, but hopefully some clarity. And Brent, if you have more that you want to comment on, sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead and jump in. If not, somebody else can go ahead and jump in, or we'll grab some comments from the comment section.
Well, no, that's all I was pointing out was this is where I think we're making this a more complex subject, because honestly, in this group of guys, okay, in the last 7 days since our last show, can all of you say there wasn't one time in the last week that somebody walked by you and either for the sake of you didn't know him that well, you don't like him that much, or you didn't want to get in the conversation, you didn't just go, hey, how you doing? Oh, no, I'm fine, and walk on by. That's masking, right? I think we're making this too complex. I'm the guy you don't want to ask at church. People avoid talking to me at church because if you ask me how I am, I'm going to tell you, just because it freaks everybody out. I think it's funny, but because if you ask, I don't want to lie about it anymore. But I've certainly done it to dodge a conversation with somebody I wasn't comfortable with, or someone I didn't really want to have a real conversation with. And it may be masking to avoid that conversation because I don't really want to talk to you. But it's still masking. It's still putting on airs to hide something, cover something up, or keep something out of the conversation. And I think that's when we're talking about breaking mask. I think we're having to really going to get real about those kind of topics where, you know, what happens if I actually say the truth, right? DL gives me a hard time about being the guy who starts crap, right? I blew up an email thread I was on last week, like blew it up so big. I got phone calls within 2 minutes of sending the email because I just called out all of the BS in the thread. I got immediate phone calls because I was like, no, we're not going to play this game. This is not appropriate. We're not going to play this game. We're not going to pussyfoot around this and dress it up and not deal with what's actually happening here. Right. I don't think telling the truth is starting stuff, but I think it's so rare that we actually are just truly honest about things. And I still do it. I'm not saying I don't. I still have days where I do it, but right. That's what we're diving into with getting rid of the mask, is actually saying what we mean, speaking the truth, no matter the cost. Right. When people ask, how you doing? Hey, if you're having a crappy day, when was the last time I jumped on and you're like, hey man, how you doing? I was like, oh, I'm good. Now I go on.
I've never let you pull that phone.
I'm tired. I'm beat up. I'm worn out. Right.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of masks we need to take off because we don't think about those. Like I said, those are pervasive. We do it all the time. Those are little partial masks. So it's like the little white lies, but their masks still the same.
I hear what you're saying.
I think we kind of all admitted at this stage of our life where we're comfortable with ourselves, but I know I hadn't always been comfortable being in my own skin. It's a journey, and it's our job to help people feel comfortable being who they are. So I understand where you're coming from, and I don't think any of us on here are saying I've never felt like I had to wear a mask in different places, because we've just at our age figured out how to be comfortable being who we are.
Yeah, but that's the conversation we need to have with everybody listening today.
So I guess what we're talking about is integrity, right? It's being in integrity with who you believe you are as a person, your purpose, right? So for me, I believe that I was out of it, or I didn't have that. I lived in a mask. I wasn't being in my integrity, or didn't even define it. I was just kind of going with the flow. So I guess it matters, but then at the same time, not living in integrity now for the most part, but also having discernment. When somebody asks me how I'm doing, I'm not going to sit there and talk to just anybody and just let it all out, because I do have discernment. I know that I'm not going to just tell anything to everybody, because it's not the right way to go. So I guess to a degree, I don't see a situation where if somebody asks me how I'm doing and I'm not necessarily sure their intention or who they are as a person, or honestly, I know their intention and I know who they are as a person, I'm probably not going to open up that way. So I guess you're right, Brent. It's like, it's not 100%, I guess we were trying to say, but so where's that line, right? And I think what it really is, and I agree with the professor, that it comes down to we are no longer who we used to be. But at the same time, there has to be some sort of, discernment, because let's have that conversation. So you're right. Did I avoid someone I didn't want to talk to this week? Yeah. Why? And was it because I was out of integrity, or I didn't want to invite a BS conversation, or, you know what I mean? Like, I knew where that was going to go, or maybe I didn't know where it's going to go. Maybe I prejudged it. You know what I'm saying? But I do live in that world, Brent. And so let's talk about that, because you're right. I might have been that way even this past weekend, around some people that I maybe didn't feel like talking to. But I don't believe I was out of integrity with who I am as a person necessarily. I think that's why I answered it that way. But there are times, I don't necessarily feel like telling you about me.
And I think it's okay sometimes not to let your guard down and share everything with everybody. You have to
vigilance,
be in the right.
It's about being vigilant, and I think that's really, maybe that's what we should talk about, is that constant vigilance is why are we maybe not.
Yeah, I was getting ready to hit that point myself, but see, to me, that's still not wearing a mask. Wearing a mask is being a fake in my eyes, or pretending to be someone that I'm not. If I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to talk to you, but you're going to know I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm going to say not right now. Or you may say, am I doing all right? Or how are you doing? And I may say, I'm okay, it's getting better. I'm going to have a positive outlook on it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to tell you all my business. That's not wearing a mask. I mean, even the Bible tells you not to let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. So like Dr. Dave said, it's having discernment, who you can talk to, when to talk, but that's not, to me, again, that's not necessarily wearing a mask. Wearing a mask to me is if I'm being fake about it or I'm lying about it. Now, have I done that in the past? Absolutely. Absolutely. But, as you get older and you bump your head, you learn certain lessons and you learn to do certain things to where you can, again, you don't have to put everybody in your business, but you don't have to be a liar either.
Yeah. So think about a mask, and I'm going to offer a different perspective because Ariel just said he thinks mask is about being fake. What's the purpose of a mask? For some people, a mask is protection. If we think about a few years ago when COVID was spreading throughout the country and the world, we were encouraged to wear a mask to protect ourselves and to protect others. So sometimes the mask isn't just about being fake. Sometimes a mask, ask anybody who has played football, you wear a mask for a reason. It's for protection. In that instance, in other situations, people wear masks because they don't want to be attacked for being who they are. They don't feel comfortable being who they are because of the response they're going to get from just being them true selves. So I've had several homosexual or gay Marines and students who had to wear a mask because of the ridicule that came along with their sexual orientation or being them who they thought to be them true selves. I wanted them to know I don't care. I care about you as a human first and foremost, and you could be comfortable around me. But the more I listened to them and understood why they were so guarded and why they had to be somebody who they wouldn't, it helped me get a better perspective of why sometimes people do perform or they pretend to be somebody who they're not. It's not a concrete answer because of everybody's life scenarios. I just try to help and encourage people to be comfortable who they are and love themselves.
See, we mask up because we're afraid. We're afraid of other people judging us. We're afraid of other people perceiving us because we're not comfortable who we are or with where we are right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's a concrete reason why people wear masks all the time. That could be a factor, but it's not the factor.
I'm going to throw one out there. Sometimes my wife asks me, what's up? I'll say, I'm fine. I'll say I'm fine because I don't want to get into it with her because it's going to open up a whole can of worms. And I will tell you that I'm not saying that's right. But I told before about having discernment about someone who I don't trust. But sometimes, I don't let somebody in. And Brent, you're right. Like I'm not saying, and you're right. It's not across the board, but I'm thinking of scenarios now that we're having this conversation. And there are people close to me who I don't want to talk about it with, or I don't want to get into it with, or it's going to start a whole other in my mind. And that's not healthy.
I don't understand why we think that we can answer. The only thing that we can end the conversation with is I'm fine when I don't want to talk to somebody. When someone asks me at church, right, how you doing? I'm like, oh, dude, I barely survived the week and I can keep on walking. I don't have to have a conversation, right? I'm having a pretty crappy week. I'm feeling kind of beat up today and just keep on walking, right? My boundaries. Just because I didn't say fine doesn't mean we're starting a conversation. You asked, I answered. If you don't like my answer, that's on you and I don't care. But that's my answer, right? That doesn't mean it has to start a conversation. But for some reason, we subscribe to this idea. If we say anything other than fine, that we actually have to open up and have a conversation with somebody or explain the answer. Yeah. I don't have to do that. That's my boundaries. If I walk by you, like, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, this week sucks, and I could just keep on walking. I don't got to explain that. I don't talk to you. But
Even
for
when I
some
say-
reason,
even
it's
when I
not
say
one
I'm
way
fine,
to
That's
one
exactly
way
what
to
I'm saying.
avoid,
Just be real.
yeah, and then one way to avoid it is not ask how you doing. Give the proper greeting of the day and keep moving. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That eliminates the chance that somebody is going to want to continue the conversation.
right? That's way better than the how you doing. You don't actually care how I'm doing. You just say
That's
morning,
right.
morning.
That's it. Leave
Right?
it at that.
well, in
Not work.
Jersey, we say, "How you doing?" It's funny. Even when I say I'm fine to my wife, it doesn't get me off the hook. She's like, that wasn't the right I'm fine. She'll pick up a tone. So trust me, I'm trying to avoid something. Well, it don't work. Look at that women instinct.
Great.
And who was it? Someone said there were so many on this.
There's so many comments in here. I don't even know if I should.
Mr. Tristan 719 said, "Is wearing a mask when you're bothered by an issue that shouldn't be public? Is it wearing a mask when you're bothered by an issue that shouldn't be public?" I don't think you have.
I feel like we answered that.
I don't feel like you have to depart from who you are because something's wrong, because you can set those boundaries. You don't have to get into anything with somebody, even if you're not okay, even if you're upset, even if life is hard. You don't have to get into it with anybody. So it's not wearing a mask just because you aren't ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
I feel like we covered
That's
that.
one.
It's not. Hold on 1 second, Stu. I feel like we covered that. I don't think it's wearing a mask in that regard, Trish. I feel like, like somebody mentioned earlier, there's certain things that, like Tristan can come and talk to me about something and he'll never go any further than me. He already knows that already. But there's somebody else that may come along and may ask Tristan, how you doing? He doesn't have that same place of safety, that same history that he and I have together. He doesn't have the same positive experiences. So I don't blame him for being guarded about telling this person who you don't know where they're going to take it to. He knows it ain't going to go nowhere outside of me, but this other person, he doesn't know that. So no, Tristan, it's not wearing a mask at all, just being guarded. I think we got more than one part of the conversation going up at the same time. So your part of it is good, man. It's not nothing wrong with doing that. Your wife asks you that kind of question and you respond like that, it's a different story. Then we having a different conversation with you and the missus. But
Yeah.
But go ahead, Stu. Sorry to cut you off.
Okay, so when you put that's great that you put the definition of mask on the screen, and that's really good. That's just one. Yeah, that's just one definition of it, because another definition is physical covering, gear worn over the nose or mouth to block airborne pathogens. Again, masks don't necessarily have to be a bad thing, because again, if I'm using the mask to protect myself, that's a good use of the mask. If you're using mask in the wrong context to pretend and be fake, then that's another conversation. And I think DL said it in the comments really well. He said, I believe all folks wear masks for many different reasons: protection, privacy, pride, just to name a few. And I think that comment is spot on.
All right. Anybody else? Good stuff, man. Anybody else?
Well, let's talk about. So we're talking about what's not a mask, right? So what's the worst kind of mask? Like, what are we talking about here? Because there are people out there. Like, I remember being fake in times in my life where I had to acted like I was somebody else for the wrong reasons to get something. You know what I mean? So I remember that. And I remember the difficulty in living a life like that, because you're living a lie, right? Being out of integrity. I find being in integrity is a lot less energy. So I'm just at the point in life where having to remember who I am, and it's just, I'd rather be one person at a time. But I do avoid, sharing with people sometimes when I don't, and where I should let them in. I have a defense, an immediate defense to not tell you how I'm feeling, and I want to let you know about that. And it's not that I'm out of integrity, but I don't let people in either. And I think that's the fear for anybody listening here, is there's something going on with you that only you know about, that you put that mask on and you're going to take it to your grave, because we say we're sick as our secrets, right? We're sick as our secrets. So having that secret life, or having that, putting that mask on and going to church and being a holy roller and going back home and watching pornography all day, or, you know, whatever you do that you don't tell anybody else about, that's the mask. Like, think about the thing you don't want anyone else to know. Is it a habit? Is it whatever? And how do you hide that? Because we are as sick as our secrets. So if your little secret is you don't want to tell somebody you have pizza or something, whatever, because they're watching you what you eating, that's a white lie, right? But there's levels of that, and I think that's important to realize. That's where the vigilance comes in, because that's going to lead to destruction. Contradictions lead to destruction, and the degree of destruction is equal to the degree of contradiction. And that's not me. That's Ayn Rand, some brainiac philosopher. But I believe that, you know, like the degree of that contradiction is going to cause destruction on some level. And I live by that. So I try to be vigilant. I'm not great at it, Brent, but there's an effort. There's not an effort to hide. You know what I mean? There's an effort, and if I am hiding, I know it, and I'm looking to share it. You know, I'm trying to share it, at least in prayer, but I don't let a lot of people in when I should, probably.
There's one thing I was going to bring it up, but I think we hit a detour, and I don't know if you're going to get to it now. But one thing I was thinking about in regards to mask is the mirage of success, if you will. Success has become a really good hiding place for a man. You know, you stay focused on the goal. You stay late at the office, so you have to deal with the discomfort at the house, the conflicts at the house. You can always, you have a great alibi. I'm at the office working. Who's to dispute that? You know, you are probably working, but you're also avoiding some things as well. And I think a lot of times, you know, as much as, you know, as us men, sometimes we have those wounds that we don't want nobody to touch and nobody to deal with. You know, we can cover it up with achievement. How many countless episodes have we had on this show about achievement, you know, playing almost as an armor to cover up the father wound and things like that. We discussed it more than a dozen times easily. So that's one area we were going to go into, but we didn't get a chance to get there. But okay, the pizza thing is here. All right, good comment. White lies are still lies, though, whether it's pizza or pornography, it weighs the same. Thank you, sir. Exactly. Appreciate that. All right,
I find porn weighs much more than the pizza for my life. That's why I'd rather eat the pizza and lie about it than be into the porn. I just feel that's evil.
I don't want to face the judge with anything like that on my record. Period. Either way, because God don't play like that. Just to be clear, there's no degrees to Him. But in regards to what we're talking about, the success part, did I help out to kind of bring the conversation to a different place, or do you just hate my idea and you want to stick to where you're at?
No, that's a good place to be, especially in this day and age. A lot of times we have those wounds that we do try to hide. So if you want to talk about a mask from that standpoint, we all have them. And a lot of times we have to realize that we have to heal those wounds, and we do have to face them, whether you face it with your spouse, whether it's in therapy, or is it just you and God. You have to face those wounds. You have to heal those wounds, because it will prevent you from moving forward. It will prevent you from fulfilling your purpose. You know, cliche and biblical cliche, but you know, you can't put new wine in old wineskin, because you'll ruin both. So a lot of these things, like you said, we have to talk about it, whether it's daddy issues. You have to deal with those daddy issues, because a lot of times that determines how you talk to your children. It determines how you talk to your spouse, because it's something festering inside of you till you get triggered, and you get triggered easily. This goes back to what I was saying with my son a few weeks ago, when he can do something and he's just being a kid, and him being a kid triggers me and makes me upset, then there's something internal I need to deal with. Because him being free, laughing, and happy should not bother me. You know, if that's the case, just to make an example here. If someone else's happiness bothers you, or they're laughing, or you think they're too loud talking, but they're just being free. They're just enjoying themselves. But their loud talking is bothering you. Why is it bothering you? There's probably a wound in there that you need to deal with. So these things that we try to hide and we try to cover up, it affects our entire lives. And we're not the only one that pays the price. Our loved ones pay the price.
Yes, sir.
So we cannot hide these things. We have to deal with them. We have to.
I would say success. I would say success gives you a great opportunity to be vulnerable and share some of the things that were barriers to you getting to the point of success, because people do listen to successful people, but you have to share. And I'm going to say that word. I'm going to use it. Vulnerability. I could share a testimony and a list of accomplishments, but if I pair that with the challenges that came along with the journey, I think that resonates sometimes more. I know for me, because I don't want somebody just to tell me it's all roses and sunshine, but they don't tell me what they had to do to prepare the soil and the things that they had to add to the soil, and the dirt and the poking from the thorns. That needs to come along with the success story as well. So trying to find the balance between having success and then also sharing that I don't have it all figured out, even though I still am successful. I still have struggles in other areas of my life as well, but that's not preventing me from ultimately succeeding.
See, we didn't change this conversation at all. The direction it was going with the success bit, because that's just the next stage. One of the reasons this pushes my buttons on the little things, like the I'm fine issue that we all deal with as men, right? That we're conditioned by society. It's not just men; women are conditioned to do the same thing as society. It's just with I'm fine. It's the old principle of you play how you practice, and right, how you do anything is how you do everything. And even with the Ira Rand comment, right? It's the same philosophy. That little fib actually enables that bigger masking.
Mhm.
The more you do it easily here, the more it's here, right? This is just, we look at it from the success standpoint, hiding behind success. That's just an amplified version, because we made it okay with all the little things that we've told people, that we've lied to ourselves about, that we've lied to our spouse about, that we lied to society about. Every time we're doing it here, we are giving ourselves permission to do it with the bigger things. Because if we'll do it with something little, then we're doing it with bigger things easily. Because like, oh, well, this is little and that I feel justified in this. I can certainly do it up here. Right. And so that's where we get into hiding behind our success, because it's just a bigger mask, but we've already justified that because we mask up for little seemingly inconsequential things. Right.
Okay.
And so I don't think this is a change in the conversation. We're just amplifying the conversation. DL said it in the comments, right? A white lie is still a white lie.
Yeah. Good point from DL. And just to clarify, when I come from and talk about success is not equal across the board, because what area of your life you consider to be a success is success. I can't tell you you're successful and you can't tell me I'm successful. That's a personal thing, a personal point of growth and achievement that can only be defined internally. If you're happy with where you are in life and you consider that to be a success, God bless you. But your success and my success aren't the same. And I wanted to make sure I clarified that, because I was totally coming from a personal standpoint in regards to the achievements that I have accomplished in life, and sometimes still not being satisfied, even though I've achieved and achieved and achieved it. But I still had this problem that came along with this achievement, or I had these obstacles that came in the way in order for me to get to what I consider to be success.
And yeah, I wasn't wasn't attacking anything you said on that, Steve, but it's that this is just I was tracing the conversation as we moved into talking about success, right? And how we can hide behind that, because we definitely hit that one on several previous episodes of the show, where we as men hide behind what we do, behind our profession, behind our responsibility to mask other things going on. But I just want to draw the correlation because it starts with that little thing. Now, before we go any further, we got to throw out our mental health hotline, because it is Men's Mental Health Month, and we care about you guys. You know, I hope you get that as you're listening to the show and as we're having these discussions. I have nothing but respect for all these guys, and I love being on here with them, and we care about you. That's why we keep showing up to the show. So it's National Men's Mental Health Month, and 988 is the nationwide emergency mental health hotline number in the United States. You can call, text, or chat online at 988lifeline.org for 24/7 support from trained crisis counselors. For those who prefer text-based communications, the crisis text line is available by texting HOME to 741-741. And then for our veterans, because sometimes they need a little different conversation, someone who can actually connect with them at a much deeper level. This is near and dear to my heart. The Veterans Crisis Line is call 1-800-273-8255 and press 1, or text 838-255. And the website is www.helpguide.org/find-help. Please reach out if you are struggling. There is no shame. There is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You are not alone. Please reach out and let somebody meet you where you are.
Awesome stuff. So, are we still in the process of breaking the mask? What?
I thought it was
Did we
funny
solve
how we
it?
all kind of started off talking about how we don't have them anymore, and then Brent rattled
I
the
didn't say
cage.
that because I can't say that. So that was.
I think I dropped at least 5 masks tonight in the call. So I started with nothing and I came up with 5. So thanks, Brent, for making me search my soul and spirit and take my mask off a little bit. I didn't even know I had on. So I'm happy that the way that conversation went, and I really appreciate this conversation tonight with all you guys. It's great.
You know why this one really rubs me wrong? Because I lived in mass my whole life. Growing up a preacher's kid and moving from town to town every couple of years, I always had to put on, I had my Sunday preacher's kid mask. I had everything under control, and I was a good kid, and I didn't do anything wrong. And right, I was a totally different person at church, with my family, with my friends, my non-church friends versus my church friends. And I wore that mask like a wild card in a deck of cards. I was whoever I needed to be with everybody, because my life changed so often that I just learned to be everything to everyone that I could. So I fit wherever I was and didn't have to deal with the fact that I was scared and alone and starting over. And it took a lot of years to get to where I just didn't want to live that life anymore. Much, much farther down my life, way into my adult years, to where I had to actually look back and realize, like, crap, this is the way I've lived my life. Like, I don't even know who I am at this point. Right. I was well into my 30s before I started establishing, like, oh no, this is really me. And it was because I always had to put on that mask to make sure I could fit wherever I went. So I wasn't just the strange new kid who showed up during the summer. Oh, look, that's the new kid. God, I heard that my whole life. Oh, that's the new kid. That's the new kid. Well, this one rubs me because of that. I got tired of the mask, and I got tired of living those lies, and it is exhausting. And I just hate to see anybody else on that path.
That's a great, that's a great point, Brett. And we need to give the people who haven't come to this stage of their life yet, we need to give them some grace and help them realize that they don't have to live like that.
Absolutely.
Just by sharing what you just shared, Brent, is a really good testimony and example of encouraging somebody who is on the path to living how you had felt like you had to mask for a long period of time. Them hearing you say that may give them the courage to say, you know what, because of Brett's lived experience, I don't necessarily need to live my life in the same way. I can be different and I don't have to wear a mask. And from the conversation in general, I think what I took away from it is that some masks are good, some masks are bad. Really simple.
And we definitely got to continue this conversation, because just like you said, some masks are good, some are bad. You have the mask where, like you were saying earlier, Steve, was about protection. You got a mask of protection, but then you have the mask that I was talking about of deception, where you're being fake, you know. And then so there's a lot of masks that we got to talk to, and then the mask where you're trying to be, you don't know your identity, you're trying to be somebody that you're not. You know, so there's so many different ways we can tackle this. So I don't think the conversation's over. I don't know what you're gonna say, Mr. U, on that, but there might be a part 2, part 3 on it. I don't know.
You think that much more meat on the bone for the night? Because we can roll. I ain't running y'all up out of here, but I do want to say something, and then I'm gonna let you guys. Honestly, have I done it before? I don't think I ever did it before. But after I say this, y'all can go wherever you want to go for as long as you want to go. How about that? All right. I want to say something first.
Goodness.
You can decide that. It's up to you guys completely. The whole reason, well, beside the man on the bridge, the whole reason why we started doing this in the very first place is because I believe this with all my heart. And you know what? I don't even care if people don't believe me anymore. I believe this with all my heart. I eat, sleep, think, and dream about this all the time. I believe the answers to everything we're talking about is found inside the community. I really believe that. And God planned it that way. That's why he said, forsake not the assembling of ourselves. I think it's Hebrews 9:25, I think it is. Forsake not the assembling of ourselves together as many around you may do. For the day of the Lord is approaching. He wants you to be in community with people. That is probably the safest place to have those kind of conversations and to be able to share what's on your heart and it not being used against you as a weapon. That's what community is supposed to do. And even if you can't find it all the time, I understand it's an imperfect situation in many of our worlds. But I can always rely on this place. I never seen a post after the show, a post broadcast where somebody was running down one of you guys. Because you know good and well, I never let it happen. I've been at the dude with a sword cutting off Malchus's ear. I don't play that. I'd never let him get after you guys. I don't care whether I agree with what you said or not. I never let it. It would never happen on my timeline, in my eyesight, because this community means that much. This is a safe space to talk about whatever. And if you can't do it anywhere else, I would at least hope and pray that you can do it here and put that stuff out here and say, you know what? I ain't got it all together. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at a 2.5. At least you could do it here. You know what I'm saying? I know people can see it, and it's not as private as, you know, it appears. It's a safe space that everybody can see. I get the hypocrisy of that. But the point is that this is what it's for. And my vision always was for you to create that where you are. You create it where you are. Coffee shop, garage, rented space. You create that. And you build that. The more the merrier, because you're helping people and you're changing lives. So all we're talking about with breaking the mask, this is the place for us to do that kind of stuff. I wish we could do it in our churches all the time, in every scenario, our religious organizations or whatever, even our family, even in our own home. Sometimes we can't do that because of all the expectations, all of the narratives, all of the assumptions, and then add bias and preference to it. And it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess cocktail. But I'm hoping we can do that kind of stuff here and begin to build out from that. So I'm putting it out to see if you guys can be thinking about that more broadly, because if we can't do it here, I mean, what are we doing? We need to start recording, right?
I would say the church is a great place where this whole experience can be observed. And as a preacher's kid, like Brett, you find yourself in spaces observing things and watching how people do and move, and you realize what they're preaching is not what they're doing. And somebody in the comments earlier said it. You're not supposed to wear church clothes and then after church go do other stuff. Be who you are. If you are a drunk, be a drunk. But don't be shouting and screaming and falling out in church and then go out and do ungodly like things, because people are watching and they see it. That's the hypocritical part of it. And that could be a whole nother conversation about how the church has been used as a tool to mask and to pray and to pretend and monetize off of people and in their vulnerable states, all behind the mask of the church.
To answer Trish's question real quick, this would be the previous answer I ever gave. If everybody at the masquerade party, so to speak, is wearing a black and white mask, and you got one on, yeah, then this is yes to your question. But if nobody's wearing a mask but you, then it's really hard to go into self-protection mode because you're the only one wearing the mask at the whole party. They go through something wrong with you to start with.
Well,
everybody's wearing a mask, yeah, and you wear the same kind of mask everybody's wearing, then so self-protection might work. Then yeah, that makes sense, but only in that scenario.
It also comes down to what are you protecting? What is your reason for the protection? Because some things we don't need to protect. It needs to be exposed. You know, and again, like I was saying, you don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing. Like certain things you do not necessarily hide, but you don't bring attention to it. You know, certain things. For example, we can have a conversation about our spouses. We're only going to take that conversation so far because we need to protect our house. We need to protect our spouses. So there's certain things that I'm just not going to say. You know,
your wife will whoop your butt just like mine would.
Absolutely.
Talking about me on the internet.
So, you know, but there are certain other aspects, you know, you need to expose it. So when you say using it for protection, it depends on what it is that you're protecting and what's your reason for protecting it.
I think you can establish a lot of boundaries to protect yourself without masking up. Now, that's my opinion. But I think you can establish I think a lot of men actually feel like they have to mask up because they haven't established other healthy boundaries in their life that protects them from negative influences, people who would take advantage of them, toxic people in their lives. Sometimes you've got to cut those threads and get rid of those toxic people. And those are part of those boundaries, and it keeps you from having to mask up. I wanted to hop on something DL said. He said, mask could be a good thing. Paul said he learned to be all things to all men in order to win some. Not all masks are bad. I don't think Paul was talking about masks. I think Paul was talking about being a brother, the kind of brother that is welcome in every circle, right? I think he learned to be the kind of person, right? That was one of the dynamic traits about Jesus. People wanted him around. He spoke uncomfortable truths. People wanted him around, right? First miracle was at a wedding, right? Him and his whole crew got invited to his mom's friend's wedding, right? Why? Because people wanted him around. He was good to be around. People felt seen, loved, and appreciated. I think that's what Paul is talking about, is being that brother, that kind of person who sees people, who accepts people, who loves on people, who supports people, because that person is welcome in every single circle. And I don't think you have to mask up for that. My take on it might not be right.
That's what I was trying to say earlier when I was trying to communicate, when I was saying you don't change who you are, but you learn the language of the room. So that's what I was trying to communicate when I was saying that. Exactly what you were saying now, Brent.
So just for context, out of that scripture, you got to understand the time frame and what was going on during the time. You got people who were not circumcised, that religious leaders were trying to say you have to be circumcised or you're not one of us. Mm-hmm. And Jesus is saying through Paul, because of what I did on Calvary, you're already one of us. So Paul being, you know, who he needed to be for everybody, it wasn't mask wearing. It was essentially just like you guys already eloquently stated, you know, understanding the language, being accepting of the people who God accepted, and not putting laws and legalism in front of the relationship. So that's kind of what's going on there. But all right, Mr. Mayor, another profound statement from Mr. Mayor.
You guys are
I
gonna
think
give
we
me
change the name of this show. I think I can take my name off of the show and put the mayor's name on there instead.
you guys are gonna give me so much grief from my actual mayor one of these days.
If that happens, I'm gonna give you the business. Believe that. All right. So, any other thoughts? This is really good, man. I'm shocked because y'all was rallying like y'all was going roll, and now you act like you got a gas. I'm confused.
I got to teach a class at 8:30, and in between there,
Okay.
eat dinner. So I got hungry.
Your gas economy is justified. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. What else is happening? We good?
I just wanted to make sure we covered those comments. I saw them as we were wrapping
Did
up.
we? There were so
Covered.
many comments. I don't.
Right? It was blowing up today.
I posted them. I couldn't. You guys did a fantastic job. I just put it like that. You guys, Mark, DL, Steven, Tris, you guys are killing it, man.
I appreciate you guys, and I just want to mention just the Father's Day, such a this Sunday, and we're thinking about you guys this weekend. For those of you that are fathers,
It is that weekend, isn't it? Happy Father's Day, guys.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Doc.
I think I'm getting a donut, and I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe go out to dinner, maybe a dinner or something like that. But yeah.
Again,
Happy
set the
Father's Day,
expectations. Set the expectations.
Set the-
If you want a gift, let the people in your life know you want a gift.
That only
And
works
let 'em-
in the whole families. So so that's not a good formula to use everywhere. It's not a one size fits all. Sorry.
Good point.
My situation is very, very complex. But all right, so we said we have we ended with the rest of the comments over here. We active out here because of y'all. Love you, DL. All right, Steven said, happy Father's Day, brother. Keep up the great work to you, brother. Happy Father's Day. Have fun this weekend. Happy Father's Day, loved ones. All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is good, man. This is good.
And
So-
all listeners catch the show later. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out
Happy
there.
Father's Day, you guys. All hearts and minds are clear. We good?
Yes,
You
sir.
guys did a banger job as usual. I'm gonna tell you what the Queen just texted me. She's not gonna like that I said this out loud, but I'm gonna say it because she knows she's tripping for saying this. I'm gonna get a tie and a card made with macaroni noodles. She know I don't. She know I don't like that. That's what she's talking about. Lord have mercy. If it's from her, I'm gonna take it, but I'm gonna cook that macaroni. You can believe that.